When you wake up, what does the first 5 minutes look like? And then what's the ritual?
First 5 minutes of most days, I roll over like most people and grab Facebook, reach for the phone, But
I'm touching my phone right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this has been since the iPhones come out, I think the greatest invention to make business and life, the most convenient thing on the planet. You can access and do everything. You can basically control the whole world with an iPhone anymore. So, first thing I do is check my iPhone, check my messages in the morning because I'm laying there. I don't have to get up, and I can actually, do something productive while laying there trying to.
Do you feel like you're more awake after you do that?
Yeah, I don't sleep much anyway. My wife's like, "When do you sleep?" I'm like, "I don't know. When I die, maybe. 4 hours is enough for me." So.
Oh, okay. Has it always been like that?
Yeah,
like
my whole
bed
life.
At what time? Up at what time? So
now, oh my God, I'll try to get to bed as quick as I can when I get home, so I don't sit in the kitchen all day and just eat. So I'll go home and play with the kids, and go right up to bed and just hang out. So watch some TV and fall asleep probably 10 o'clock, 10:30.
And we wake up usually early.
Yeah, at least 2 days a week I get up probably around 5, and I'll sit there, and that's how I get my week organized. I'll go through every single communication form that I have, from text message to email to instant messenger to checking all the voicemails to make sure I'm getting back to every single person that contacted me.
2 days a week, it's like in your schedule, ingrained in there, that those are the days. Is it specific days or does it rotate?
No, it rotates depending on how much I have to get caught up on what I'm doing. So, tomorrow I may wake up early, and just because nothing's going to be going on. Thanksgiving morning, get up early, get the big Batman cup, 2 cups of coffee, put it in the Keurig twice, go sit in the office and just sit there. And I still do everything with a pen and paper, just sit down and write everything down. And, as the day goes on, I'll just check off everything that I need. So it's in front of me, physically, rather than have to log into something to do it. I can physically see it and write it down. Seems to help me a lot more, get through all my goals every day.
Car business, 6 days a week, is that the normal schedule, at least in the beginning of the...
Oh, when I first started, I lived at the dealership, I was so scared to miss an opportunity or to not have a client, come in when I was there, you know what I mean? So I was, when I first started 18 and a half, almost 19 years ago, I would basically be there every waking minute of every hour, just hustling and grinding and trying to build my customer base at that point.
Monday through Saturday?
Monday through Saturday.
Like dealerships close on Sundays.
Absolutely.
Usually,
Pennsylvania,
right?
Pennsylvania. Blue Laws, good old Blue Laws.
In the beginning, were you in PA doing it?
Oh, yeah, I've been with Piazza's the whole time,
That's a whole other conversation.
Same place the whole time. We moved our store. We were in Drexel Hill, about a mile away. Moved our store about a little over 4 years ago, but same company, same owners, same management, same everything.
If you were able to do it Sunday, you think you would have did it in the beginning?
Probably, yeah. But the Eagles are kind of like my, I got to make sure I watch the football games. Yeah. So it's like great. It's, it was my break from everything. But, rolling back now the last 5 years, I've been down to 5 days a week. I never work Friday except for this upcoming Friday's Black Friday, and a lot of people are off and want to come in. So I'm going to, take my family time because I'm going to get it on Thursday and, move it and come in here for a few hours just to try to help some people who are off and want to pick up their cars.
Did you see that over time, you putting in the work, not just hard but smart, you were able to work 5 days versus the 6?
Oh, 100%.
And still, 100%. What did that look like, or what was that process?
Well, you don't realize it, but you're burning yourself out. I mean, to me, I was, and doing everything possible to stay up. Red Bull, coffee, just pumping yourself.
On
just
that note,
right?
That's not full of Red Bull.
No, that's H2O. That's water all day.
Yeah, that's good too. I heard about that.
Yeah, it's this thing that's been around for a long time. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Seen any commercials on it, what it benefits, but
yeah, it's good. So stay hydrated all day.
Red Bull sponsors water sometimes.
If I don't bring something like this all day, I'll be like 5 hours in on a Saturday, and I'd be like, man, I haven't taken a sip of water or anything, just run around like a lunatic. So my whole thing every day now is make sure I pack hydration all day just to keep hydrated.
Was that in the last 5 to 6 years that hit you when you started getting a little bit more phoning it back with the amount of...
We had some tragedies that happened in our family, and it was just like, wow, I'm wasting my days at the dealership all day, So I reevaluated my life and reevaluated what my goals were and what my life goals were, and it wasn't to live and die, at a delership and or at any job, at that point. So I wanted to get my money working for me rather than me working for my money. So I kind of branched off and did some other things with real estate and that are coming to fruition and helping me out, financially. But at the same point, when I scaled back to 5 days a week, it actually helped me immensely. A, because I wasn't run down half the days when I was here, and the following that I had actually would wait for me. So some people were like, how do you sell? Like last week I sold, 14 cars on Saturday. I was like, how in the world
on a Saturday
do you sell 14 cars? 14 on
People
a Saturday.
People don't do that in a month. They don't even do that in a month.
The average in the country, I think, is 11 right now. So yeah, in a month. So I eclipsed that in one day. But the way I'm able to do that is I'm off on Friday. So instead of everybody coming in, 5 or 6 people on a Friday selling 5 or 6 cars, everybody wants to wait. And I always tell everybody, don't wait for me. If you have to come in, I understand. It's not a big deal, but I can't sacrifice my family time to be there, So everybody just waits for me on Saturday. And it's a big show.
It's not like you gave them a good reason.
No, not at all. I mean, but everybody's always like, yeah, no problem. We'll wait for you. It's no big deal. What time you come in? And I don't even make appointments anymore. We just tell everybody, just come in. We're going to make it happen.
Okay, so mine's exploding.
Mm-hmm.
First thought is, things occurred when you realized what was most important.
Correct.
Did that have something to do with looking at that phone and saying, I want to use it to add value to my life, not take away from value in my life?
Oh, absolutely. You got to use technology for, you got to take advantage of the shortcuts that it actually gives you, not make it more part of a long, drawn-out process. And I feel like a lot of people actually do. It's more of a hindrance than it is an advantage for some people. To me, it's the day the iPhone came out, it was like an epiphany. Wow, I can copy and paste this website and text it to somebody, and it was like, boom. I'm like, instead of me taking grainy pictures on a Nextel, phone and sending it to somebody, text message became, 30 times easier when you actually had a keyboard and type it out. I never had a BlackBerry. I wasn't a BlackBerry guy. So my text messages were, to get to C, you had to tap 1, 3 times or 2, 3 times and go through it. As soon as I got the iPhone, it was like, wow. So, I started texting my customers probably the day that the iPhone came out rather than calling or emailing.
The day it came out?
The day it came out, I was like, man, I had the first iPhone the day it came out. I'm like, this thing is just going to change the way I do business.
Where do you think, was it a mentor? Was it something you had read? Was it from past experiences?
Well, it was things that I was trying to do. I mean, the iPhone, what is it, 10 years old now, 11 years old, somewhere in there. So, 10, 11 years ago, I mean, all my friends, we would barely talk on the phone unless it's like one of my real, real good friends. We get a text message, hey, you going out tonight? Hey, where are you going to be? So everything was text message, and I can answer, 10 text messages during the day, even when I was a customer, and not feel like I was being ignorant, taking a phone call, hey, can you hold on? So to me, everybody's at work or, hanging out with their family or something like that, might not be able to have a 10-minute conversation with me and, push me to voicemail and maybe not call me back. Email, I check email now maybe 3 times a day. I'll check my text messages 3,272 times already today.
Today?
Yeah, basically. I mean, you're on your phone all day, right? So 10, 11 years ago, I decided, man, I'm going to start texting my customers. This is awesome. And, at first I'm like, I'll just text, the younger people because, they'll want it. And then, I'm like, hey, my dad, not that you're old, but my dad, hey, he gets a text message, what I mean? So I just started sending everybody text messages. And it was unbelievable, the response rate that I would get back, So people would actually get back to me right away, or at least they would get back to me that day, at some point, rather than, sending me an email or, something like that. So,
So you had been in the business about almost 10 years at the time.
Correct.
iPhone comes out, you say, hey, this is going to be more effective.
Absolutely.
People probably will rather answer it's convenient.
Absolutely.
Why not try it? So 100%. You tried it with people that you figured would be
the demographic that I thought would, be more responsive to it,
And then you just you saw a result. How quickly did you see a result? Like, did it convert into opportunity?
Yeah, right away.
Wow.
Right away, especially if somebody had an iPhone, because then they would actually see, the picture, or I could actually email the videos that I was doing. It would be a short video because it wouldn't take, much at that time.
It wouldn't take a video, like of a car?
Yeah, sure. You could walk around a car, take a video, send it to somebody, because back then it was
and email to them
right away. Because it was pretty tough to copy and paste stuff off of a website back then, unless you were emailing it from a computer. So once I got the iPhone and I was mobile, I'm like, man, this thing's going to revolutionize the way I do business.
Wow.
I thought.
Prior to that piece of technology, where were you mentally and from a result base in your business? You're 10 years in.
10 years in, I was probably selling
still a good guy.
40. Oh, yeah, definitely a good guy.
I think so.
I think so, Selling 40-some, maybe 40-some, maybe some months hitting 50 cars a month. But And everybody's patting me on the back and telling me how good I'm doing, but I always would think that my mental state was there's so much more, at this point. And people are still, nowadays, they're like, man, you're selling 100 cars. I just did this thing, this little conference with Sean Bradley, our mutual friend. He's awesome. And all these general managers and owners and dealer principals are there, and they're like, man, it's unbelievable. You're doing 100 cars. And all I'm thinking about is how do I get to 150, because there's time in the day for me. I'm not busy all day, every day. Here we are, taking an hour out of time. It's not a big deal. So, to me, when I hear salespeople complain that they don't have time, how could they possibly do it? And I look, and you're selling 18 cars a month. Well, what are you doing with your time? Your time management either is really off, or you're just using that as your excuse. Why you can't grow your business. In my mind.
Well, that's a powerful thought, and it's interesting because when you're doing, let's say you're doing 50,
right?
Do you remember the number 2, number 3 guy? Where were they at the dealership at the time?
Probably 15 cars, 18 cars, maybe somewhere in there.
So psychologically, you're ahead of the pack, but you're asking yourself, what's more?
Right.
And not hearing the noise per se, or sipping your own Kool-Aid.
I'm never worried about the guy that's selling less than me or doing less than me and why they're there. You know what I mean? So to me, it's not a pack game. It was an individual sport to me. So I was challenging myself every single day, not really worrying or focusing with other people, things I couldn't control, what other people were doing. If there was somebody right on my tail, would it have pushed me more? Possibly. But I'm a self-motivated type person. I can unmotivate myself real easy sometimes too, but you got to be able to get over that real quick. That's you don't stay in that black hole for real long. When you're unmotivating yourself, you got to figure out a way to snap yourself out of it right away, and be able to challenge yourself and move to the next level every single time.
So about 20 or so years ago, a week before you walked into this dealership or the Piazza empire.
Yeah.
Who were you and where were you?
I was working for a company called Green Mountain Energy, actually a company called NRG, which was a marketing firm for Green Mountain Energy.
Okay.
And it was when all the electric companies deregulated. So it was kind of a company called Vector Knives actually founded NRG.
Yeah.
So they would teach this prospectus. You make appointments with your friends and family, and then you get referrals, and you have to ask for referrals from there, and you learn your prospectus and go through. Well, I did that for about 4 months. I think I switched 200, and I think it was 212 or 213 was the number, and there was only 2 people that I actually got to sit in front of that wouldn't switch their electric. It was because of the Y2K thing, so they told me to come back after Y2K, but they didn't want to switch anything. So I got so good at learning the prospectus and walking everybody through the process, and it made sense. There was, it was a step-by-step guideline of you had to deregulate anyway. You had to pick a different electric company. Why wouldn't you want to do it with an environmental company that's actually doing things that are, better for the environment and saving yourself some money in the same point? So it was a good company. They made me a district manager of Delaware County, which basically meant that I was in charge of training and setting up appointments for the people we were training, basically college kids, stuff like that. The new thing.
Enrollees.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It just seemed like I was doing it, and there was no management support. Everything I was asking, nobody would get back to me for days, and I just didn't feel like the structure was there. And my dad's like, hey, go sell cars. You like Hondas? You got a Honda? Why don't you go sell cars? I think they make pretty good money. I'm like, whatever. And I'm just reading through the paper, because you look through the paper back then for jobs.
Yeah.
And I seen a help wanted ad, and just called it. And I still remember it was a Friday, and I called, and the guy's like, yeah, Bob Burns is like, come on in. Come in today. I'm like, well, I was thinking about, I was probably going to go golfing today. He's like, you know what, buddy, don't even bother. Don't come in. It's probably not for you. I'm like, whoa, a second. I said, I'll come in. I'll be there. So I bagged my golf for the day, and I
Are you even able to drink yet at this point?
Yeah, I was 21 years old.
You're 21?
21 years old.
Just for anyone that isn't understanding, if you had 213 appointments and only 2 basically said come back later, that's like a 99.
It was crazy.
9.8% convert, some ridiculous.
Right.
So you were doing well in that other company.
Correct.
They just necessarily didn't have the systems or the infrastructure.
Correct. So that was when I was actually doing the in-home switching thing. I got so good at it, I would make my appointments around dinner time so that the people would ask me to stay over for dinner. It was great. And I'm like, hey, you have Frank, you want to stay over? And cause basically all I was doing is making friends. You're just walking in and just having a regular conversation with somebody and, explaining what you were actually there for and just walking everybody through the process.
Who introduced you to that business? Was it a mentor? Was it a friend that was involved?
No, actually, same thing. Just seeing the ad in the paper. It was like $20 per hour per appointment. Come on in. It was a very vague ad. Nothing. College students welcome. This, and I was like, why not? We'll go take a try. So, because before that, I was in the pizza business, and people say, man, you must work a lot of hours now, and I'm like, nah, this is part time compared to what the restaurant, what the restaurant industry was, because I was 14, 15 hours a day, almost 7 days a week, at that point. But just wanted to do the sales thing, and it worked out, but just wasn't the right company for me at that point, and ended up calling here. And so far, the rest is history. It's been great.
So why pizza? Are you a big fan?
I am a big fan of pizza. Absolutely, we were huge pizza connoisseurs. So
was
my
this
house.
A friend of a family member, first job?
No, it wasn't the first job, but we were all hanging out in Fallcroft, where I grew up, and hanging outside the pizza shop. We'd always hang up at the stores, and I still remember the owner came out and he's like, "I need somebody that wants to work. One of the guys just quit." And I still remember that my buddy Dave's like, "I'll work," and he's like, "All right, I'll give you $8 an hour," and I was like, "I'll work for $7." And he's like, "I'll work for $7." He's like, "All right, well, he said it first. Said I'll work for the first 2 weeks for free."
You said that.
I said that. So I started. He only let me work the first couple of days for free. Actually paid me, but that's how I got that job. I was like competitive right there. Wanted a job, something to do. I think I was probably 15 at the time there. So
you're 15 now. It's interesting the understanding of the mindset of the entrepreneur in a sense is like you put it out and then it comes back. It's like in a sense it looks like how you do your car business.
It's the same thing.
You're 15. Man.
Right.
Where did that? Was it an intuition? Was it a book you read? Was it a mentor? Was it a coincidence?
The book I read when I was a kid that still inspires me today is The Little Engine That Could. So I think I can. I think I can. Yeah.
Tell me that.
Yeah, it's great, man. I still remember that book from when I was like 7, 8 years old in my house. My mom gave me that book, and I swear that was like my whole thing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses why I can't do something when I know I can.
You're 7 years old.
7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. But I still remember that book as vividly as sitting here today, probably exactly what it was and what I got. I probably read that book 300 times.
Wow.
I think when I was a kid, so I just.
So when I was young, I had this thought like I was going to own laundromats. My uncle was like into real estate, and we lived in this like big house, but I was in the basement with my mom, and I'm like, I want to be like him. I want to own businesses.
Sure.
Didn't start reading heavy till later in life. I almost wish that we were friends and you gave me that book. Little Edge I could. Didn't really think a lot like that then.
Right.
Did that start like the thoughts of entrepreneurship? Did it start the thoughts of...
I've always wanted to be a businessman. I didn't really know what that meant when I was younger. But for some reason, I always wanted to wear a shirt and tie. I always wanted to go to work. I always wanted to be a businessman. And when I was a kid, I had no idea what that meant. Like what the people in business do. Like as a young child, you don't conceptualize what business or businessman or what a certain occupation that might be tied to that. But I just figured that's what I wanted to be. And so I guess I've accomplished my goal in that aspect. But still looking to grow it and do some other great things in my life at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have a long time to go.
Yeah, that's it.
So you grew up in the area.
Yeah, always.
And how many siblings?
Two sisters, both younger, 3 years younger and 14 years younger. So
growing up, did you ever think that there could be a synergy between being an older brother and that entrepreneurial thought process? Or
so me and my sister that's 3 years older than me, we fought like cats and dogs when we were kids because we were so young. I mean, we loved each other, still do. But we fought like cats and dogs. And then my younger sister was...
she's older than you?
No, she's 3 years younger than me, my Carrie. And then my other sister, Kristen, she's like 14 years. So I took more of the mentorship role, the almost, fatherish figure role, with her. So it was two total different relationships,
Competitive with your younger sister?
Yes, yeah, for attention.
Can we thank her about...
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. She would always blame me for everything, and I'd always blame her for everything. So we had a great childhood. It was awesome, man.
Sports?
Yeah, all day. That's all we did all day. So, and it wasn't as organized as it is, nowadays. I mean, everything's either a, play date or, you have to be with a certain group to go out and actually have a basketball game now. So, yeah, I played in all the EdCo. Baseball, I was pretty good at baseball. Basketball, just couldn't shoot, not quick enough.
Tough.
Football, I was always a couple pounds overweight for the weight. There was always weight classes back then. So all I would do is run around the field with trash bags on all day. So I hated football. So that lasted a very, very short time. But sports to me were just go outside. There's 300 kids out front. Just go play street hockey or football or whatever it is. But always not the most athletic, but I always wanted to figure out a way to win.
It's powerful. It's interesting because at 12 I started running, and I remember I got this 5-pound dumbbell at my mom. We didn't have the funds to get 2.
Right.
So we started with 1, and that was heavy.
Yeah.
Adopted into an Italian family.
Yeah.
Irish blood. Didn't mix with the culture.
Right.
And started working out at 12, and I remember, was tried to do the wrestling in sophomore year, junior.
Right. Yeah.
And I couldn't make it past the shower room.
Nice. Yeah.
It was tough.
Yeah. Right.
So I can empathize, especially with the football thing. It's
right.
like interesting because the grades was the reason that I wasn't able to actually play. I remember spending a whole
in high school, same thing.
Punt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my curiosity was like academic.
Yeah. My academics, where I'd always try to figure out. I don't want to say I'd try to figure out the shortcut, but I always wanted to figure out a way to get through the whole process without actually doing the process. And I really think that I was probably a C+ to B student my whole life. Math came really easy to me. Algebra came really easy to me. Math and science. English was never my thing. Every sentence I would ever write, every paragraph was one big run-on sentence back then because my brain didn't and doesn't work that way. So. But math was really easy to me academically. English and language classes were not really my thing. I just wasn't interested in it back then.
Have you ever heard of the Robert Kiyosaki book, A Students Work for C Students?
I've heard of the term. I haven't heard of the book. Yeah, absolutely. So, but I feel like I learned more by not actually sitting there and doing the process that the teacher was trying to make me do while trying to do an end around, and because I already had a shortcut for it. So I'd see an algebra problem and I'd be able to put the number up. The teacher would want you to show your work. I said, well, you show me the work. I already have the answer, type thing.
Interesting. Figuring out the answer, and this is just, a thought prior to, or figuring out the answer without necessarily following the path.
Right.
And then getting the result, and then them saying, well, I don't know.
Right.
You think that had any inkling or, movement to how you decided to build your own business?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's how I treat it. I mean, the Piazzas, they pay for everything. A lot of people are like, when are you going to get your own dealership? When are you going to get your own dealership? Well, wish I had $25 million sitting in the bank that maybe I could buy my own Honda dealership. That would be awesome. But good thing
We're
is...
in agreement with
that. Yeah. The good thing is I have owners that do, and they basically let me run my own business inside a business. So I treat this like it's Frank Crinite Honda all day, and they pay for all the overhead and pay for all the inventory, and I get to, make decisions all day of what I need to do in my own business to grow it every single day, with their support and them paying for everything. So it works out good. I don't have any of the tax liabilities that they probably have, but it works out great for me.
Would you say that your day, in the sense of serving around 100 people a month with their one of the biggest purchases of their life, is built around problem solving?
It's all problem solving for the most part. I mean, you really need to listen more than you talk. And we were talking a little earlier, people joking me, they kind of call me the Dr. Phil of the car dealership because I listen to everybody's problems all day. So sometimes you got to be more of a psychologist, and really kind of just a guide, not really a salesman. People, in my eyes, don't need to be sold something. This is more of sales to me is more of a customer service business anymore. So everybody just needs to be helped along, and problem solving is the big thing. So, you need to be able to figure out. Sometimes not always budget. Sometimes it's a family problem, or just talking somebody through, or walking somebody through the whole process that's never financed a car or bought a car, or a lot of different angles to it. But yeah, it's definitely a problem solving business to me is where it comes to.
When you were successful at that energy business, you made the shift to cars. How long did it take to solve the problem, in a sense that, hey, this is almost the same formula?
Yeah, still trying to solve it. So every day I'm growing, because if you're not willing to evolve, I mean, there's so many things. If you just rest on your laurels of how you're doing things to me in the past and say, hey, I've been successful, and pat yourself in the back, some young kid's going to come by and overtake you, because he learns the new technology or the new way. I mean, there's always the basics that you have to have. To me, it's all relationship building, and that seems to be like a key phrase anymore, like relationship building. And a lot of people don't understand what that actually means and what goes into it.
What does it mean to you? Yeah, how do you break that down? Well, it's obviously working for you.
Right. So first you got to get people to like you. Like, that's the whole key to everything. If people don't like you, they're not going to want to do business with you. They're not going to want to sit here and have a conversation with you. They're not going to want to tell you about your family or talk Eagles. So, you want to make sure that, right, go Eagles.
Go Eagles, by the way.
Still got a shot. We're good. No worries. Staying positive. So, you got to make people like you, and you make people like you by being likable and actually caring about their situation. You can't really fake, the care. So the stuff that we put out there that you're saying, charity and actually giving people your time and all that stuff. If you fake it, people can smell that, right through it. So you have to be willing to not worry about what you're getting back, and put everybody else's needs in front of yours, in front of the dealerships, in front of, everything else. Actually figure out what the best scenario or situation for the client, the friend, whoever's asking for it. And through Facebook is one of the ways that I've actually grown my relationships with a lot of customers. So it's not just all business stuff all day that people don't want to see. I mean, the pictures we post with everybody and the thumbs up and all that, that's to keep the excitement for the customer. Yeah, it keeps my name out there, but it keeps the excitement for the client, the friend. Through that, once you friend those people, then they get to actually see who you really are as a person, and I get to see who they are, so they get to see my family and, my newborn and, me at the Eagles games and everything. It's not just the same old, boring, here I am at work, here's what we're doing, because, people tune you off after a while. I get bored of seeing myself, take pictures sometimes. So you got to be looking for the next thing. You got to be able to grow it and, move on from what you're doing. So adaptability to me is one of the keys to staying successful.
Wow.
Not just, patting yourself on the back saying, hey, I'm this guy or that guy. I wake up every morning, I'm like Rocky 1, not Rocky 4 or Rocky 5, You got to be Rocky 1 every day. You got to stay hungry and, keep your eye on the task the whole day.
So people liking you comes from empathy.
Correct. 100%. Yeah.
Adapting and being open and knowing that piece of technology can be used to create.
Right. Patience and empathy for people really has helped me grow my relationships to the fact that people feel like they're more my friends, and I feel like they're more my friends, rather than just coming here for a transaction. So I'd say 90% of the time, whenever anybody's here, we spend probably 90% of the time talking about sports, family. It's not really the transaction part of the business. I mean, there's always things you have to do to actually, facilitate buying a car and everything, but I'd say 90% of the time has nothing at all to do with the actual transaction of the buying of the purchase of the car.
Was it a mentor or an occurrence? Mm-hmm. Something happened in your life that made you think, hey, I'm going to put myself in the other person's shoes? That isn't necessarily common sense and common knowledge. Like, I've been working for a long time to try not to be a dick.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, I was probably way too cocky when I was younger, and it turned off probably some coworkers and some clients. 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and
what's that?
It's a blood cancer, but it's the cancer to have if you're going to have cancer, because it's curable. And but didn't know that at first. You go and I found a lump in my neck on Christmas Eve 5 years ago, and my sister, who's in the medical field, I said, Chris, what do you think this is? And I seen her face. She freaked out. She's like, definitely go to the doctor and get it checked out. I'm like, all right, I'm not a doctor guy. I never go to the doctor. So I'm like, I'll go after the holidays. And went, and could have been 27 different things after I talked to my doctor and oncologist, and it came back to be that it was one of the best things that could have been out of the 27 things. So I changed the way that changed my thinking, rather than being this invincible person that could, conquer everything or anything, and it's just like, wow, cancer is just something that people get, not something that, could happen to me, was the way that I always thought back in the day. So going through that whole process and through the treatments and everything, and I still remember coming home, and it was about a week before when I found out that I actually told my wife, and because I couldn't find the words to tell her. I don't know why. I was just nervous to tell her, and she's like freaking out. She's like, well, what do we do? We want to sell the cars. You want to move? You want to? I'm like, Kel. I'm like, everything's going to be fine. I'm like, a lot of people have it a lot worse. Doctor said everything's going to be fine. Nothing in our life changes. So I went through this whole process of 16 weeks of chemo, 20 weeks of radiation. The most proud thing that's ever happened to me is I never missed a day of work. I came to work. I booked my chemo appointments early on a Tuesday so I can get to work as quick as I possibly can. I'd sit there for 6 hours, and when I was there, it actually taught me some skills to be able to sit there and just kind of block everything out. I would sit there and go through my whole customer base and, get back to everybody and respond to everybody and, write little emails and everything. So that actually helped me. And that August, when I was going through the end part of my chemo, we were busy as could be, and that was when I sold 88 cars. And before that, my biggest month was like 60 cars. So I pushed through the zone. This is when I was going through everything. So I'd come to work every day, and everybody was like, how are you doing? Everything okay? And I finally just gathered everybody up. We were at the old dealership. I gathered everybody. I said, listen, I appreciate everybody. Just stop asking me if everything's going to be okay. Am I okay? Because everything's going to be fine. I appreciate your empathy and everything, but, everything's going to be fine. Just treat me like normal. Everything will be fine in a few months, and I'll be back to being me. And, I could see everybody. I was losing a little bit of my hair and everything, but I was determined not to let anything, especially a diagnosis like that, dictate my life, my future. So through determination and my coworker support of, just treat me like everything was normal, I was able to break through my 60 car month and get to an 88 car month at our old, smaller dealership. And then from there, I just started rolling. I figured if I can get through that, going through at, the weakest point in my life at that point, once I got better, I know I can get to the 100-car goal that I had. That was, this goal that I was mythical unicorn that I was chasing, for a long time. And how do I get there? So that just started rolling, and then got through all that, and I'm healthy now. I'm cured.
Wow.
The doctor tells me I'm good. I go every 6 months for scans, but that process taught me a lot of patience for people, situations. What they're going through. You never know what somebody's going through just by looking at them, So that taught me to be empathetic and actually taught me more to care about people than what was going on in my life. Put their needs first rather than just my needs, and that was kind of a breakthrough for me,
Wow.
At that point.
We met on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if last summer I was in a car accident.
I seen it, man. It was crazy, I seen
very similar. Mm-hmm. Everything changed.
Eye-opening experience.
Being that I want to talk about mentorship and helping others, should we put together some kind of? We could hurt people, but not too bad.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just start hitting people's kneecaps.
I don't.
Not really.
I don't think it could be faked. That's the problem. Okay. I don't think it could be faked. You know what I mean? You can't say, "Hey, just bash my knee," and then you realize it.
And realize what matters.
Right. You have to run yourself face first into the brick wall and be able to actually respond. A lot of people will respond negatively, and they'll go into their hole and they're feel sorry for themselves. And I've never been somebody that ever wanted anybody to feel sorry for me, because I never feel sorry for myself. Anything I've ever did that was been wrong in my life, I put myself in that position, and I've always taken responsibility for everything I did in my life. So responsibility. So that feeling of, I could see when people would ask me, and I could see their eyes drop, like they felt sorry for me, like I didn't want that. Like that's the worst feeling ever. So now when people come in and they're sick or somebody passed, like, I don't. Before I'd be like all like weirded out by it. Now I have no problem like actually having a conversation and maybe even opening them up with some of my, what's happened in my life, why I can understand and why I can relate, to them, because I truly care, not because I'm just trying to.
You see that as a gift now?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's definitely a gift.
There was a moment, quite a few after the first week, I would say, it got dark.
Right.
I put a video out about what occurred and where I was at, and in the video, I'm pretty messed up.
Right.
I say this all the time. So this is why I started talking about Facebook in general. Right, Culture Matters is corporate culture, not Facebook. But putting that video out and then seeing all the people that commented, and it got like 4 or 5 times, maybe 5,000 views.
Right.
You know, I always had a suit on, and to be honest with you, I thought I needed the suit.
Right. Sure. The power
happened,
crutch.
I'm like, I was at Keller Williams with my arm.
Right.
You know, I was never going to have it again, was what they were saying.
Yeah.
And I'm making calls. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And but that was about a month after. The response to those videos is what got me to realize I got to get out of the dark.
Right.
Was there a moment at all where you second guess yourself, or you just already you didn't even think like that?
I was in Springfield Hospital, and they came over and just gave me the diagnosis. It was actually a pretty cold diagnosis too. Like, they didn't come down and like, it wasn't. They're like, hey, you know, you basically it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. You know, it's cancer. And they didn't really tell me much of, you know, what was going to happen or what it was. So, you know, at first my head's spinning. I'm just walking through the hallway and my head's spinning. And the first thing you do is you grab your phone and you Google or you WebMD something, and that is the worst thing you could possibly do, because everything tells you you're going to die tomorrow, you know. So the big thing to me was it hereditary, because that's all I really cared about. You know, was it something that I was going to have to worry about for my kids? So the second that I actually got to talk to my oncologist, and he assured me that it wasn't, it was something either environmental or you know, food-based or whatever it wasn't something that I could actually hereditarily pass on to my kids. So as soon as I found that, I don't have to worry about, you know, my family. I was just like, I could take this on. It's not a big deal, because I'd be sitting there in chemo and there'd be, you know, 15 people sitting around me, and they all have it worse than me, you know. So how am I going to sit there with, you know, something that's a diagnosis that has a cure, you know, potentially, and feel sorry about myself, you know. So that definitely helped grow my caring, my understanding, and it definitely stepped my mental game up too, because, you know, I felt if I can just walk away from this and beat this, and, you know, nothing changes in my life besides positive, you know, stuff, then I can pretty much get through anything.
The psychologist in me says that I should give every kid I ever have, which I should have. You know, I posted about that yesterday. I'm not going to have kids. I'm going to have kids.
No,
Every kid needs to get the little engine that could.
Right, 100%.
I think if I read that, I wouldn't have. I mean, I give you a lot of credit.
Thanks, man.
Seriously, because that was what got me through it, and for you to think like that is phenomenal. Right. So you did. You upped your game after that.
I upped my game during it. Absolutely, yeah. After it, during it.
A month. You know, it's a month later. Mm-hmm. You had this mega month. You're looking at the world differently. Mm-hmm. What's your move?
Everybody wanted to talk about that month. I still remember. So, you know, all the people in the organization are calling me. Zurich, who basically insures and does everything for us, they wanted me to come and do a you know, training seminar for some of the new guys. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I don't mind. I'm more than happy to give back to, you know, the company that's helped me be. And, you know, went up to the management company. We did a training thing, and then, you know, the next month it's like, man, what happened? You know what I mean? Why am I back to like maybe 60 cars? And, you know, I'm just like, you can't live in the past. So everybody always wants to talk about what you did before. You know, last August I sold 137 cars, and all anybody wanted to do through September and everything, and I just blocked it out. Like, that's not what I wanted to talk about. So what I want to talk about is what's in front of me and how I was going to move forward and how you're going to keep that momentum rolling. So I feel like, you know, the car business is a month-to-month business. So, you know, most businesses are quarterly or, you know, however they do their business, but the car business is one of the businesses that's month-to-month. So everybody wants to talk about this big month that you had before, but if you spend your time talking about the big month you had before, all of a sudden it's the 10th of the month and you're like, wow, way behind the ball here.
That's psychologically got me all whacked up, because if you think about it, to be proactive, you have to have that mindset that you're talking about.
Right.
And we all, for the same reason that we want to talk about last month, is the same reason the next month doesn't succeed, because if we're talking about last month, we don't get to the next month.
So 2015, I sold 987 cars. And I kind of let myself say, it was okay. We went on a lot of vacations. We did this, we did that. But I had the goal of selling 1,000 cars. So it was probably February. I think it was February. And, you know, Honda they close their month out and close their year out, and then they send you a thing, hey, you know, you sold so many cars. And it was 987. And I still remember my wife came in. It was like January, February, whatever it was, and she had a cake for me. And it was that I used to give this little bear out. It was Frank the Bear. So she had the bear on the cake, and it was a cake, and it's like, congratulations on your year 987. And that was like a punch in the face. Like, I'm like looking at it like, man, my wife and kids are here, and I'm like trying to smile and like be all happy and like, thank you, Kelly, for bringing me this beautiful cake. So I was like, I'm not going to let it happen. It's not going to happen. So 2016, and I still remember it was December, and I only had like 890 cars in November, and we were going on vacation to Disney in December, and I came back, and it was like the 9th of the month, and I had to sell like 100 cars or 97 cars or something like that. And Tony was in the dealership, and he goes, so you're gonna hit 1,000 this year? And I'm like, yeah, boss, definitely gonna do it. He goes, all right, man, that's what I want to hear. He goes, don't let me down. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I'm like, had the owner here, I got to do it now, not just for myself, but I did it. So ended up getting on Facebook and just doing some live videos, just off the cuff. Hey, listen, bat signal's up, need help. Come in, we're chasing 1,000, and as it started to get closer to the 1,000, we started to do a countdown. So I'd stand there with a sign, like like Will Chamberlain did his 100. You know what I mean? We'd stand there with a sign like 987, 988, and the whole time everybody's like, it was New Year's Eve, and I was at it was New Year's Eve. No, it was the night before New Year's Eve, and I was at 988, 999, got all the way up, and everybody wanted to know who was number 1,000, and I didn't tell anybody who was number 1,000. I didn't want anybody to know, so I ended up buying my mom a car for the 1,000th, and I showed up at her house. Like, we went black after 999 for like an hour. The only person I told was one of the managers. I'm like, hey, work the numbers out for me. I'm going to buy my mom a car for 1,000 for everything, for giving me that book, basically.
Oh my God,
and
that's amazing.
It was great. So I still remember pulling up, and I'm a block away from her house, and I'm in tears. Like, I'm like trying to compose myself, doing a Facebook Live thing, and showed up like Ed McMahon, knocked up at the door, and it was pretty cool. So I gave my mom the car for number 1,000. That was like one of the best moments of my life.
That's amazing. They're amazing, man, dude.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah, thank you.
So I can empathize with that, seriously, because it was maybe a week and a half ago. I'm driving in Nutley, New Jersey, which is 90 miles from here, basically, from where I live in Fishtown.
Right.
And my mother lives in Cedar Grove, which is about 20 miles away from Nutley.
Right.
And I call her, and she doesn't answer.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, I'll call her back. Now, I'm not there to see her.
Right.
Sorry, I had a meeting.
Sure.
She drives right by me.
Oh.
Like on the
right
by the shop in Nutley.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my mom.
Yeah.
So I call her again. She answers. She's like, hey, what? I'm like, I'm behind you.
Yeah.
I turned.
Right.
Safely.
Right.
Now I'm thinking about Honda. I'm like, I gotta beam. I need Honda anyway.
Yeah.
A little blurry. I call. I said, go to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Go to ShopRite. I'm like, she stops a car, and I had just had the transcript to the first book.
Uh-huh.
And I just read it to her, or I gave it to her, and she read it, and I Facebooked it. Yeah. And she's like, what is that? I'm like, oh, that's my book. Yeah. And she's like, because my mom, you got me on a tangent. My mom was same thing with the books, right? Like, your mom gave you a book. My mom always had these romance novels she was reading. It always made me want to, we read, we write, we speak.
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
And it was like, I just had a moment like that, like a week and a half ago, and
it was an awesome feeling, man. It was unbelievable, and it was great too for business wise. I mean, everybody was following this whole trek of hit 1,000. I mean, it was actually unbelievably inspiring to myself. Like, how many people actually are like, dude, we don't even need a car. We just want to buy a car to help you get to this goal, And everybody's following me and commenting who's going to be 1,000. And after a couple days and weeks after, I mean, I had people telling me they were all sitting around their living room, waiting to find out who was going to be number 1,000. And they said that, half the people were like, man, our whole family was in tears, the whole time. It was such a great journey to get there. And then, the next year I'm like, all right, well, now I got to really step my game up, and I want to be at 100 cars a month. And And 2017, I ended up selling, I think it was like 1,203 cars. So
now, what's the record for the world? Is it like not the world,
there
but
was
like America
Joe Girard had it. It was 1425, and my buddy Ali last year broke that. He's at 1582, I think it is, and we share a lot of the same values. I talk to him on a somewhat regular basis. So all about relationship building and. Not really sell. He's not a guy that you can, hand a pen and say, "Sell me this pen." So I'm the same way. I'm not this great salesperson per se. I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm like have to sell you something. We both share the same values as far as relationship building and doing it the right way. There's times that I've told people not to buy cars because they really can't afford it. Wow. Yeah, I can afford the $600 payment. I just can't afford the $500 down. Well, maybe we should possibly look at something else so you make sure that you're setting yourself up for success and not setting yourself up for failure.
So there's two things. It's interesting. The decision to tell the truth, let's shelve that. Yep. Ali, competition. Yeah. Doesn't seem like you view competition in the normal way that people view competition if you're having conversations.
Yes and no. I challenge myself every day. My goal is to sell more cars than anybody's ever sold in the history of the car business, and that's my goal. And I'm strongly getting there in a pretty fast direction. So I'm on point for my goals, but at the same time, it's not like I wouldn't want to sell more cars if it meant sacrificing the experience for the client or the customer. So
how does that work? Explain that, because people might not get that. They think salesmen are sleazy or the car business is. Well, how do you break through that barrier?
90% of my customer base at this point is all repeat and referral customers. So I have a lot of people.
90% of the people that are buying these 1,000 cars a year,
correct,
are buying more than.
Correct. Like so you have your whole, everything is rolling. You know what I mean? Your whole cycle of everything, referrals, people feel comfortable with you. I mean, the best compliment that you can give to anybody is refer them somebody. That means you trust them and you felt good about the process. So I make sure I ask everybody to make sure that you refer me over, any of your friends, family, friends, anybody. I'll treat them with the same respect and everything that I treated you. And it's just being straight up with people has worked out the best for me. So I have a lot of people giving me some ideas of how I can grow my business to, chase the record and, a lot of advertising and stuff. And at the same point, I don't know if I want to do it that way. So I don't necessarily need to bring in fresh business from all these outside sources that could end up, dragging me in the wrong direction anyway, which would, dilute the customer experience for my current client base and maybe not give them the, same, respect and, stuff that they need that I should be giving them. So I think I'm going to find ways to get to where I want to be by keep building the business the way that I want and exploring different avenues, but not necessarily, billboards or stuff to, spending money on advertisements and stuff to bring clients in that don't already know me or don't have some type of relationship,
it seems
building
like
to
you
me.
have this extremely strong following. What are some of the things that, and a lot of people have an issue with just staying in touch with people. Yeah. Especially people
get back to everybody, man.
How do you do that?
I'm involved with the whole process. So it's not just I'll sell you a car. I always say to everybody, I just sold you a car, great, everything. I'm not the guy that wants to sell you a car and never see you again. If you have a problem, you come into service, come over, say hi. I would never run and just grab a manager right away if there's a problem. I just try to figure it out myself. The manager, he doesn't know these people. He doesn't really know 100% how well that I know them, spent hours with them, or talked to them over hundreds of text messages sometimes. So I always stay with the process from cradle to grave, just the whole thing. So you have a problem with the car, problem in service, you got referrals. It's not always just the good. You got to be able to own up to some of the bad stuff too and help out. So a lot of my day is just problem solving. Helping people that may have issues or need some guidance or anything. So being involved with the whole process, not just selling a car and making a transaction.
Wow.
Has really helped me get to where we're at right now.
And then would you say that of all of the social media mediums, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, which one is your most powerful investment of time and return on investment for your time?
By large margins, it's Facebook. Definitely need to step my game up on some of the other social media.
We talked about Instagram. We both have to.
Instagram.
Maybe our accountability partners.
Correct. So there's some programs that.
We should be doing stories.
There's some programs I was talking to Sean about the other day, and he was telling me that, you post it one place and it goes everywhere. And, so he's going to show me a couple things that technology-wise that I might not know, So I'm always willing to learn and listen to, shortcuts and better ways of doing things.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do your day starts early and it ends
as early as possibly can. No, I wish. A lot of nights I'm here till Monday through Wednesday. I'll be here till at least 8, sometimes 9 o'clock. So, I come in. I'm not the first one here in the morning. I'll be here 10 o'clock. I got things I have to do at home. I might as well do them before I leave the house rather than have to worry about coming in. So a lot of times I'll come in 10 o'clock. Most of my clients know I'm not here at 9:01 in the morning. So, I'll be here at 10 o'clock from 10 to... Last night we left at 7. Tonight I'll leave, as soon as we're probably done here, make sure everything's good to go for...
Well, it's Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But a normal day...
Yeah. But a normal day, hey man, you got to be dedicated. You have to... You can't fake this. You got to live the life.
Well, I think people need to hear the number one guy is working.
Right. I'm only working 50 hours a week, which with what I'm getting out of it, I don't think 50, 52 hours a week is actually overworking. I see a lot of people that work 70, 80 hours a week, and they're not getting, not even just in this business, just in general, and they're not getting out. You could just go get a job at Home Depot or something and make more and have a better quality of life. To me, it's all about quality of life. So, am I going to sacrifice this much time to be at, my career as to what it's going to be, for my family life, as what it's going to be for my own mental state, my golf game, my this, my that. So there's different things I want to do. And it can't always be just, live at a dealership.
Golf.
Yeah.
Hobby, competitive hobby, sport.
Extremely competitive.
I got friends for you, man.
Yeah. I hope they're not. I hope they're not good.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
We have fun with it, man. It's a
like a core group of guys.
Yeah, I got a couple guys that we go out and golf. Probably the same 3-4 guys that we golf with, and it's just 4 hours where we can get away. And turn the phone off for the most part. Not be just get out and stress relief is really what it is.
So you have a sport you play, and you work pretty good at. I mean, that's not crazy. People would be looking and say, "Oh, the guy probably has to work like 100 hours a week to be able to do that."
I wouldn't be doing.
You have 2 kids,
3 kids,
3 kids.
Yeah,
well, newborn,
8 months old.
Boy, girl, whatever.
Boy, girl, boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old is the older?
Frankie. He's my little buddy, man.
I see him all the time.
He's 10 years old. Nicest kid in the world. Please, thank you. No problem, Daddy. All right, I'll clean my room. I'll go to bed. No idea where this kid came from. Not sure. Man. Yeah, I guess, man.
It's the culture.
He's great. My daughter, she's 8, going on 18. Not sure if she's going to rule the world or burn it to the ground. We're going to figure that out.
What do they want to do?
My son wants to take over my business. He wants to.
Awesome.
He wants to be me. And my wife went to the teachers' conference today, and she told me that Frankie has no problem with confidence at all.
Daughter.
My son.
My
son.
Okay.
Yeah. My daughter. She's a firecracker. She'll tell you everything she's going to do and what she's doing and how she's going to do it the entire time. So, yeah, my son's a little smoother than that. He's he's not as up in your face as my daughter is, but. And then Anthony Jr., my 8-month-old, we just found out he's in the 98th percentile in weight and like the 90th percentile in height. So thank God he's got my face because obviously that doesn't fit my profile. So that's going to be, I think the Eagles are already sending me contracts, trying to get him signed early.
Have you been a sports fan for a long time, the Eagles?
A whole life, man.
What's going on? Do you feel let's not talk about the negative. I'm positive too.
Absolutely.
What about, how do you feel about last year's Super Bowl?
Last year's Super Bowl was the most unbelievable thing that's ever happened to us in a sporting. I mean, the Phillies were great. Like, don't get me wrong. I was elated and excited, and we broke through, and Villanova winning and everything. I mean, they were awesome, but they just felt like appetizers, And then the Eagles won like I was the main course, and I'm a huge Eagles fan. Like I don't miss a game.
That's awesome.
Sold my Super Bowl tickets because we were about 8.5 months pregnant. So it's like,
wow.
Okay, do I go to Siberia to watch this game? If it was in Miami, I probably would have went and said, hey, just call me. I'll get on a quick flight home. But being in Siberia, scary. I'm like, Minnesota. That it was great though. We had a bunch of family and friends over, and I still remember, man, we're all hugging and popping champagne and crying and, jumping up and down.
I watched your Facebook Live.
Oh, that's awesome,
I didn't
man.
watch anyone else's.
That's
I've
awesome.
never been a fan of football.
Yeah.
However, you can't not be if you live in Philadelphia.
Right.
Especially now.
Right. We got to pay attention even if you're not a fan. You pay attention a little bit.
But I watched your Facebook
It's in your
Live,
face
which
all
is
day.
very funny, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
awesome.
here we are.
You're stalking me. It's great.
I think I am, dude.
Awesome,
I mean,
man. It's great.
Watching you is inspiring because I see someone that genuinely runs their business how they put it out.
Right.
And
what you see is what you get. Like, I'm not different in any other aspects of my life. I mean, sometimes you have to be more assertive than what we are sitting here. You have to be, sometimes you have to change, the way you do things a little bit, but it's still the same core values no matter what you're doing or
what are some of your values?
Respect the game. You know what I mean? So you have to respect your clients. You have to respect everything that's going on around you. And same thing we were talking about a few minutes ago. Just you have to do if it's a business and you're in it with other people. You have to be willing to put what's best for you aside and do what's right for the client. So maybe me selling a different car to somebody could be financially better for me, but that's not the right thing to do for the client. So if you're doing that, you're being selfish, and you'll fall down that tunnel of not doing things the right way. So if you keep on track and keep doing things the right way, good things will happen. The more good vibes you put out, I feel like the more good vibes that you get back, in the long run.
Wow, it's resonating with me because our first value is collaboration. Mm-hmm. Give first, intend to help, and get started today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Revolutionized how I just live as a person. Was that more powerfully a part of your life after that month of 88 cars and you kind of had that epiphany?
Definitely. Hitting that milestone is just like breaking through. It's like you peeled through this like another dimension of, okay, now it can be done. So, 100's in sight. Now I just need to figure out a way to ramp it up just a little bit, because we only missed 100 by, 15%, so another 15%, what's that? That's like another car like every 3 days, you could definitely do that. So how do I do that?
The reason I bring that specific moment up is because it seems as though empathy is what you really drove with. Mm-hmm. Your values you really drove with. And the reward for that was like just the universe's way of telling you, hey, here's more for being more.
100%.
You said something earlier really interesting, and not a lot of people. I just had a conversation with someone recently. It was it's something that we've talked about in the past. The next level 100 millionaire is the actualized billionaire.
Right.
And what I mean by that is the person operating through some serious purpose, like Elon Musk. Genuinely, it seems like he really wants us to go to another planet.
Sure.
It's like this dude is kind of making that happen, like one guy.
Right.
Now we could take a crazy example like that. We'll bring it back to our businesses.
Right.
Operating from empathy, it's like that reward that you got.
Right. To me, it's never been about the money. You know what I mean? So you start talking about, hey, millionaire car salesman and this and that. And to me, money has always just been the byproduct of my success or your success. So to me,
I've never heard that once out of your mouth, by the way. The only time I ever saw that was like recently at a seminar you did. I've never heard you say that.
Right.
Ever.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Okay.
Like it's a positive thing.
It's a positive
I've never
thing.
even heard that.
It'd be like you standing there in the World Series and you're thinking about getting a hit for your next contract. Like you don't do that if you're a big time player, right? If you're a big time player and you're going to win the game and you have that fire and that desire inside, you're not worried about what your next contract's going to be, right? You're worried about how do I win the game? How do we get to the World Series? How do we accomplish the goal? So money's definitely important. You need money to live. You need money to operate. You need to be able to invest it well and know where my money's at. But at the same time, money's never really been the driving force of people are saying, man, you must be killing, you must make a lot of money. And I'm doing very well for myself. But at the same point, that can't be your modus operandi. That can't be what your
so what
end goal is.
So what do you have to tell all the young budding entrepreneurs and salesmen of the world that are coming out, men and women alike? Well, what's your advice to them?
There's two different mindsets, man, and I've lived both of them. So I've lived to the point where.
So you have lived the.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived. Have the $100,000 car, and when you almost didn't have the money to pay for it, when you're 23, 24 years old, and that kind of drove you to be successful because you were chasing that the entire time. To me, I kind of flipped the script now. I live below my means. I don't have to drive around. I drive a pickup truck. You know what I mean? People are like, "What do you have?" I'm like, "I drive a pickup truck." Yeah, that's it, man. So, it's a nice one, but it's a pickup truck that I drive. So the money isn't really the key focus for me. Obviously, it has to happen, or you can't do the things that you want to do with your family, with charity, with giving back, and with growing your business. So, but I just, if you're young, you're starting out in business, diversify yourself. Save more than you spend, and figure out ways to get your money working for you rather than you working for your money. So I started buying rental properties, started flipping houses with my best friend, and at first it was just to hang out with my best friend. I was like, hey, we can make some money doing this. So we started flipping some houses, and it's starting to roll in pretty well now. And we do some small business lending and a couple of things. So you have to have different streams of revenue. You can't work yourself rich. You can't work yourself to the point.
You can't work yourself rich.
You really can't. I mean, you can work yourself comfortable and retire, and live and not have to take vacations and do all that stuff. But to me, that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? I want to be comfortable, extremely comfortable. And actually, I hate that word comfortable because I never really want to be comfortable.
Yeah, we're 40 years from now, when you still look the same. You got amazing skin. Like, I'm going to buy new skin and new organs. Like,
sure. You get that on the internet by now. Together. Absolutely, 100%.
I know you think that. Yeah, you think in the future.
Right, absolutely.
What are you doing with yourself? 3,000 cars a year, or is it like international? What's going on?
Yeah, man. Hopefully by then I'm retired.
Are we on a spaceship? Or?
Yeah. 40 years from now?
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't know. I think I have about 10 more years left of selling cars is the goal. And just wherever this is going to take me, and go, I'm willing for the next challenge to step up. So whatever that.
Do you mentee people, or
I do, and it's
schools or kids? Like, it seems like that's a big part of your heart.
I used to take phone calls all the time, and I'd spend 15, 20 minutes. I just don't have the time to spend 15, 20 minutes with everybody that's inboxing me. Hey, Frank, listen, I'm a young guy. I'm trying to do this and do that, and I wish I could. So, I'm doing some things now and in the future that are going to be more training and explaining more of the process of what we do and how we get there.
This video could teach that with the full length of this video. Someone watches it,
absolutely,
it might change their whole life. It has. I
hope
with
so.
Other people.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm curious, mentors or books or training in the past. Has it ever been a part of your day or your week or your month or quarter or ever?
Not specifically. Not like, hey, I'm going to do. I mean, I've done, talk here, talk there, but not specifically. But starting to do that now. So we've got some things rolling that awesome. Definitely going to be trying to get back to the car industry as a whole, because I have tremendous respect, for the whole industry. As a whole, and going to try to give back as much as I possibly can. So I'm not one of these people that want to just hold on to all the knowledge that I have, and not tell anybody what the secret sauce is. So we're gonna figure out we're gonna figure out a way to give everybody's Frank's secret sauce.
I like that.
So, yeah.
What if you were to write a book? Let's just say you wrote one.
Yeah.
What would it be called?
Frank's Secret Sauce. There you go. That's it.
That's some power.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back 6 years ago.
Yep.
Everything that you've learned up to this moment, today,
Yep.
if you were to have a conversation with yourself, what would you say to yourself?
Grow up faster. Yeah, grow up faster. So, I really think that moment in time kind of fast forwarded my my mental state into, this is not just a game. There's a lot of people counting on me, So to the amount of cars I sell, I mean, I'm almost a dealership inside of a dealership. I've learned the other day through Sean's thing, I actually outsell half the dealerships in the country from the numbers I do myself. So you don't realize how many
Holy
people,
moly.
Managers,
you are
families.
Outselling half the dealerships in the country.
From what I was told last week, yeah.
From the stats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you were saying, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No,
family.
It's totally good. I mean, not only your family depend on you, but other coworkers' families depend on you, So, I mean, you have to perform, you got to be up to task,
So if I told you that Culture Matters, the whole company was built off personal Facebook,
yeah,
which it was.
Yeah, that's mine.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
We should have been friends a long time ago, I think.
Absolutely, man.
We both built our brands off of personal Facebook.
That's right. We were had to collide at some point, right? This is good, man.
I'm so excited. I mean, there's a million things. 2019.
Yeah.
What's that look like as far as your day-to-day and how you're going to map that out? Is it more vacations, less vacations? Because you seem to be able to go on vacations and still kill it. So
we do at least 2 vacations a year. Honda usually gives me a vacation, a cruise, or something. You know, they'll take their top 15 guys in the country, guys and girls in the country, and so we do that. We always do a week down the shore, and then we try to take a week, go to Disney or go somewhere with the family. So family first has always been my mantra. So got to put the family first. So if it's my job has let me have my wife. She can stay at home with the kids, and she's the house manager, and she has everything. And if she needs me to be there, I'm there. So if I had to drop everything and leave work, if she really needed me to, and most of the time she doesn't, because she can handle all that stuff at home with the kids and all that stuff. So my 2019 is going to be building on what I have here, growing myself culturally, and trying to help more people, not just that are part of my circle, but grow in my circles. So that's real big to me, not just to stay inside my own circle, but to actually infiltrate and, figure out what other people are doing to become successful. So, again, I don't want to pat myself in the back and, hey, you're success, you're doing this great. I am, but there's still a huge opportunity out there for me here, to grow. So
still growing.
100%, yeah.
It's powerful.
Yeah, so I actually told myself I'm going to have my child, and I'm going to take a little step back this year. And so I've been working less. So I figured, hey, I'd be probably 10, 15% less cars than what I did 2017. So I haven't looked really all year. I've just been going. And I finally clicked on it. And I'm like, man, it's okay. So it's the end of October. It's November 3rd, and I'm at 1,000 cars. So I'm on pace to do the same exact that I did last year, by working less and kind of scaling it back. So there's definitely room to grow. I got a ton of time during the day to still do stuff. People are like, how do you find the time? There's still time. You just got to not make the excuses for yourself. You got to be overcome. That's one of the biggest obstacles, I think, is people excuse themselves to death. They come up with their reasons why the Eagles can't win. Why you can't get to the next level. Why there's no time in the day, rather than figuring out a way that there is actually time in the day and ways to do things better.
Are we going to see more video of you?
Yeah, 100%. That's one of the ways that I definitely want to step my game up. Pictures are great, but I end up sitting there staring at the phone. I'll watch some video, some guy painting a wall just comes on, and an hour and a half later, I'm like, man, I watched 207 Facebook videos. Like, video is like the way that it should be, and people supposedly want to see me more, so I guess they're going to give it to them.
Yeah, well, we got a lot here.
Absolutely.
My most important question.
Yep.
Did you meet your wife selling her a car?
I did not. All good.
Stayed in my mind the whole time.
I've known my wife since we were about 14, 15, actually probably even younger than that. And I seen her out one night and started talking to her. And all her friends were like, no, he's trouble. Don't talk to him. I asked her out. And I'm like, man, these girls, they're not going to let me talk to her. They're just not. So I'm like, what do I do? So I went home. I'm like, Bobby, you get my roommate. I'm like, you got to come to dinner with me. He's like, all right, where are we going? He's like, I'm taking Kelly. He knew Kelly. So I'm taking Kelly and 9 of her girlfriends out. I'm taking everybody out. We're going to go to hibachi. He's like, all right, is just me and you? I'm like, just me and you. I'm like, I have to woo these girls over. They're never going to let me talk to them. So I took them to hibachi in Springfield. I took 9 girls, me and my roommate, and paid for everybody, bought everybody dinner, and then I was allowed to ask her to go out with me. So had to get all the permissions from all the mother hens first that I could talk to my wife first. So
that's a whole nother course.
Yeah.
I feel like there's many men that could learn how to sell cars and maybe find their future wife.
That's right, man.
So let's say 10 years from now, like 8 years from now, Frankie, right, your son, he's coming into the car business. He's 18.
Yeah.
What's your conversation with him? A couple of days before he starts.
I got to teach him the core values of how we actually do things, and I almost feel like he understands already. And it's funny. I'll go home and he goes, "How many cars you sell, Dad?" I'm like, 7. That's it. I'm like, great, never mind. Not going to tell you anything anymore. But You have to teach them the core values, the right way to do things. There's definitely a right and a wrong way to do things in any business. You have to do them the right way, or you're not going to be, you're not just going to be handed, this book of business or this customer. And, he would probably be the person that I would be the hardest on to see if he can make it through. Because if he couldn't make it through me being hard on him, then he's not going to be able to handle the hard situations. Probably not a business for him.
So now I got to ask, does culture matter?
100%. Absolutely.
I love that you said that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah, culture is one of the top things that matters of everything. You create your own culture, so you create, what culture you surround yourself with, and, what culture you put out is what you're going to get back. So culture is paramount in what I do every day and which business should be every day.
I appreciate you saying
no problem,
that.
Man.
Because people need
appreciate
to hear
you.
that,
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely, definitely.
We had so much value. The camera ran out of battery, and I think they just switched it out.
Oh,
so
that's
this
awesome.
is like amazing.
Good.
I would like to know if one question you have for myself.
Where do I get that tie?
Yeah,
that's a great tie.
So I got to give a shout out too. Might as well, right? Jordan B. Peterson. I got a book for you. I don't know if it'll impact you like that your first book, but hopefully it will. This tie got on Amazon, and it has. Wait, you got some crazy socks. You got to show the camera. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It has matching socks.
Oh my God, now that's
bam.
That's pimp.
This is Thanksgiving.
They're the crab socks. The crab with the lobsters.
The lobster
they're lobsters.
sock represents responsibility.
Man, yeah,
that's it, you, brother.
That's it.
You've inspired me because
inspiration's good. So motivation's okay, but inspiration, you have to be inspired. So motivation to me runs out. That's the rah.
Okay.
Right? So
I agree.
Inspiration is, to me, what I feel inside. It's the thing that makes you tingle. Like it's what drives you. So motivation is great. You're motivated. Somebody pumps you up, a trainer or somebody, and that's awesome. But you have to be inspired, in my eyes, to be able to actually accomplish the goal. To be able to do it every single day. I could be motivated to go to the gym, but it's not going to get me in better shape if I don't actually inspire myself every day to go to the
it's
gym.
It's amazing that, so powerfully, I learned this from Brad, waging a war against the average Lightspeed VT.
Right.
Good content, repetition, role-playing and accountability inspires people. In Latin, this is me.
Yeah.
In spirit.
Got you.
Is the etymological founding of inspired.
Right.
You're aligned with yourself, your culture, like
that's awesome.
who you are,
right.
responsible,
right.
integrity.
You can feel the spirit the whole time. You know what I mean? You can feel that tingle inside you if you're actually truly inspired. Like I said.
And the empathy comes out.
The empathy does come out.
And then people they like you.
Yeah.
Because you're real.
Yeah, I hope so.
This was awesome.
It was great, man.
Conversation.
It was
the
really
first
good.
Of a million.
Good.
And I can't wait to start seeing more of you out there and doing more of this together.
Absolutely.
So
it's awesome.
You're
man.
awesome.
It's been great.
Yes.
Absolutely.